All right. We're recording now. Hi, AMC. I'm so excited for our interview today. I'm excited to introduce you all to Mila Griffin. I know a lot of you already know her, but for some of you that don't, I think we're going to have a fun interview today. And I don't know her very well, so I'm excited to get to ask you questions. How are you doing today, Mila?
I'm good, and thank you for doing that, Jenny. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it. Well, I told Mila before we start, I was gonna let everybody know, Mila also volunteers on our club board. I didn't do that on purpose. Last month we talked to Beth, and this month we're talking to Mila, but I asked if she could share with you all, if you haven't met her, what she does as a volunteer as part of our AMC board.
Sure. So yes, this is my second year, or third year actually, being the membership director. So all the new members, I'm the person that welcome all of you. You probably heard from me when you sent emails to the membership at Altitude Multisport. I'm the one that answered them. I'm responsible for approving memberships, and also I help with the planning of the different activities. My favorite part of being on the board is actually coming to the different races and cheering all the racers when we have those activities, and just help really organize member activities.
Awesome. That's so great. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah.
With Jeff being the president, I hear about all this. You guys put so much time in, the people who volunteer on our board. So I appreciate you. I know our members appreciate it. So thank you. Cool. Well, let's jump in. Mila, would you mind sharing with us just a little bit about yourself and how you got into triathlon?
Sure. So my background is in running. I started with track and field when I was probably 6-7 years old. I've done track and field since I remember. I was born in Bulgaria. I came here as a teenager and I did track and field until I came to United States. Once I moved here, I did a lot of running, and with a lot of running comes running injuries. My best friend Tatiana, who is the previous member, the president of the club, she's still part of the club. She's the one that actually got me into triathlons. I got a bike and I was doing a little bit cross training. And I still to this day remember when she did her first half Ironman, was like, why? 70 miles? I didn't go to sleep that night thinking, 6 hours, I'll take my kids to school, and by the time I pick them up, she'll still be doing this thing.
Yeah.
So when she did her Ironman, I actually went to watch her. Yeah. And the finish line on the Ironman was just, I was in tears watching, especially the later people finishing at the late hours. Yeah. So that was really motivational for me. So we went on a running race, on the hot chocolate race, and I met some other people from our club there. I was not part of the club at that time. So I met one of our other members, Lena, who when I met her, she was in her late 60s. Yeah. She asked me, well, why don't you do triathlons? I'm like, I hate swimming. Yeah. She's like, I learned how to swim at 60 and I have done 4 Ironmans.
I didn't know that about her. That's so cool.
So between Lena and Tatiana, the next morning I was at the pool. I'm like, I guess I'm going to do a triathlon.
Love it. How long ago was this, Mila?
I started in 2017. Okay. So only 5 years ago. It was my first race. Okay. And Tatiana had a coach at the time. So I was like, no, I have to be prepared. I'm a type A personality and I have to have everything planned. Yes. So Tatiana begged her coach for like ever to take me as an athlete. Yeah. And I've been with the same coach since, but I did my first race in 2017.
Nice. Well, that leads right into my next question. Tell us about your first race. Which one did you do and what was it like?
So my first race was Tribella in Cherry Creek.
Yeah.
Yes, it was perfect first race. I did I didn't know that there was a first timer, so I did the age group, but it was a sprint, and I was already planning on doing a half Ironman later in the year. So it was a good shorter race. That's how I was thinking about it. I'm super competitive, so I almost killed myself on that race. So it was not that when people say, well, it is just a sprint. No, I think sprints are really hard because it's everything, it's all out. But I had a great experience. There were so many people. At that time I had joined the club. So I knew so many people, my whole family, because we live right by Cherry Creek, was there to support me. So needless to say, I was completely hooked right after that race. So it was great first experience.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. So that was 2017, 5 years. So you've been at this for a little while now. One of the things I'm interested in with our members is just how people come back from setbacks. So I'm curious, in that time, have you had any big setbacks or injuries, and how did you stay with it or work through those things?
So injuries, I've had injuries here and there. I think we all do. One of my biggest setback was actually, and I've been dealing with this for like a couple years now, I have issues with oxygen, like when very high intensity, my oxygen drops. So last year was really a roller coaster. Starting a workout, I would never know if I would have the best workout or I would barely make it to 3 miles and get to the point that I can't breathe. So it was very frustrating, and I just have to remember my why and just take it one day at a time. I am lucky to have a great coach who really is like, we'll just play it by ear. So it's really, for me, it was like, I have to remember, I do this because I like it, and just try to find the joy of doing it.
Love that. I love that. I'm not as competitive, or I don't do this at as high of a level as a lot of you guys, but that's important for me too, to find the joy in it, to keep it fun, to push myself, but remember I'm doing it because it's something that I love. So that's wonderful.
In competitive, I am very competitive, but mostly I compete against myself. I mean, I am not professional, so it's really the goals that I set for myself. If I compete to try to beat my previous race time, I don't try to compete with anybody else. It's really just for me.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't put this on the list of questions I sent you, but now I'm curious as we're getting into it. Have you done a full? Did you do your first full recently? Do I remember that?
I did a full. I did it in 2019. I did the last Ironman Boulder.
Okay. Oh, was that the crazy hot smoky day?
No, that was the year after.
The year after.
So
okay.
2018 was the crazy hot. I volunteered at that.
Yes.
And I did it 2019, and I have to say I was super lucky. It was cold on the bike, but I'll take cold any day.
Oh yeah.
So I was cold on the bike, but the weather was perfect. And I wasn't sure I wanted to do the early race because it's in June, a lot of indoor training. Again, Tatiana was the one that says you are signing up for it because it's a local race, and there is something to be said about local races. People from the club, Jeff, the loudest one.
Jeff went with his megaphone, I think.
Was there. So just seeing all these people that I knew on the course and everywhere in transitions, it was the highlight of the race for sure. So
gives you so much energy having those people out there cheering you on.
It was an amazing experience.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, one of the things that made me want to interview you is because I think a lot of us in the club have seen some of the announcements, but you qualified for the World Championship Ironman race in May, which I just think makes you so cool. I think it's wonderful.
Crazy.
Crazy, but just so cool. I mean, I think a lot of us I don't know you well, and I'm just really proud of you. I'm proud to have someone in the club that's representing us. So I was wondering because that's really special, if you could share with the club how did you qualify? I don't even know that story. And then how are you preparing? What does your training look like right now?
Okay, so there is a story. Let me start a little back. There is a story behind St. George. So St. George, the half Ironman, it's considered the hardest half Ironman of all half Ironman races. It is very hilly, run, bike, usually windy, hot weather. I mean, everything you can think of, St. George has it.
Yes.
So my coach for years been trying to get me to do that race. And I'm like, why? Why would I want to do St. George? I'm like, this is on my list of never to do. Well, last year, the half Ironman World Championship was there in September, and I qualified. And I'm like, well, I cannot not go to a World Championship.
Yeah.
So I was super excited. Tatiana's like, I'm coming with you. I'll be your Sherpa. Well, she qualified too.
Yes, I remember that.
Perfect experience. It was very hard training, running hills, biking hills. We were joking, too bad our coach cannot make us swim uphill.
Yeah.
So it was really hard. We did it. Amazing experience. And after we were done, I'm like, why would somebody want to do full on this course? This is terrible. This is worse than I imagined.
Yeah.
So this year, how I qualify, and I think this is the only year that they're doing this, is because usually the full it's in Kona in Hawaii. So this fall was supposed to be last year in October in Kona, and it got canceled because of COVID. So it got moved to St. George in May. So this is really the 2021 World Championship.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes. So I got invited because I'm not sure if you're aware of what the All World Athlete Awards are.
I don't know.
So every time you compete a race, you get points for the Ironman race based on where you qualify, where you're placed. So those points, everybody gets those points, and they have 3 tiers of all world athletes. They have gold, which is the top 1%, silver, which is the top 5%, and bronze, which is the top 10%.
Okay.
Well, this year they invited all the gold and silver, so basically the top 5% of qualifiers, they invited them to the World Championship. I don't know if they invited all silver. People were, I don't know. People were saying it's based on how you rated last year, but that's how I got invited.
Wow.
So it was complete surprise, and I got invited the end of February.
Oh my gosh.
I was off season. I was just going to start with my coach on March 1st. And I was not planning on doing any full Ironman this year. I only have 3 half Ironman races.
Yeah.
So I got invited on February 26, 27. And I'm like, this gives me 10 weeks for an Ironman. So of course, I tell my husband and Tatiana first.
Yeah.
Tatiana's like, well, we are going. I'm coming with you. I'm like, I have 10 weeks. I'm not sure I'm doing it. I have to talk to my coach. So I call my coach, and she's like, well, what did you think I'm going to say? Of course, I'm going to get you ready.
Oh my gosh.
So let's say my training, it's extremely intense, because usually last Ironman I prepared for 6 months.
Yeah.
And now I have 9 weeks, but I'm excited. My goal is just to finish a super hard race.
Oh yeah.
And we have some people from the club, some members that are coming to volunteer, which would be super cool to have, to know somebody on the course to cheer you on.
Yes.
So that's the story of it. I'm excited and really scared at the same time.
A little context: last year in 2021, I was out in St. George volunteering at the half. That was in May. Kim Malinowski and I went out there and cheered. I think Aaron Trail was racing. If any of our other club members were racing, oh yes, we had Brian Upcraft and Tom. Sorry, I'm drawing a total blank on his last name, which is awful. But we had a couple members racing, and so I got to see at least the half course. And you're right, it is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's so beautiful, but so hilly, and it was hot, not awful, but enough where I got an idea of what it could be like. Does the full double those courses, or is it a totally different thing?
It's a completely, so even the World Championship in September was different course. Okay. So the World, it's a different course, and since it's usually the World Championship, they try to make them harder. Okay. So it's even more elevation. You do not do it twice. It's one loop, but it's a lot of elevation.
Awesome.
by that.
Well, I think you're just so cool. We'll definitely be rooting for you and tracking you and cheering you on, and you're going to do great. Awesome.
Thank you.
What else? Do you have anything else fun coming up in 2022 that you're looking forward to? Any other races you're training?
So what I'm looking forward to, and I think the best part about racing is doing it with friends.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to the 70.3 in Oregon. We have over 15 members going. We rented a house.
I'm jealous.
So, yes,
That's
this
awesome.
makes it really more special.
Yeah.
So this is really the high. This was the highlight race for my season.
Okay.
And then I'm doing Muncie 70.3 in October with Tatiana and Morel, and I think my coach is coming. And I know a few other people from the club, few other members are talking about maybe going.
Yeah.
But really, for me, that's the most exciting part of the season is if I can get other people or join what other people are doing. Just seeing other members at different races that I do. That's kind of how I plan my races. I have my wish list of races, but this year I was going to go to Canada. And when people were talking about Oregon, I was like, you know what? I'll just go where everybody else is going just because it's more fun.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, that race looks like it's shaping up to be such a fun club event. I'm sure you guys will have fun.
So, and I think that's the best part is just being part of the club, the joint activities that we do, the bikes, the runs, the little coffee after. That's what makes triathlon really more fun.
Yeah, one of my favorite events we did last year was the pumpkin pie 5K.
Oh.
And getting together at your house afterwards. I'm the only one in my family that likes pumpkin pie, so I think I ate like 3 slices. we don't usually have it on the holiday, and I love it.
Me and the kids ate the rest of it.
That's good. Cool. Well, just to wrap us up, I was wondering, since you're such an accomplished triathlete, you've done so many cool things in the last 5 years. Do you have any advice for new people that are just getting into it, or that maybe have a big aspirations to see how far they can go, but they're at the beginning? What would you say?
Yes. So for me, when I joined, one of my biggest things, I am type A and everything's planned and everything is like, my husband says black or white. So for me, it was important to know my why. I didn't want to get into training and forget why am I doing this. So for me, my why was I am doing it because it's fun, because I get to meet new people. And yes, I want to race. And for me, it was like, I want to do the best that I could on a race. But really knowing my why was having fun. And that was, I would say, for any new member, people join triathlon for many different reasons. Do you have to be competitive? No, but know your why, know why you join it. If you're there just to meet new people, or your why it's, can I possibly do 25-mile bike ride? Some people don't know if they could. So it's really not what everybody else is doing. It's not where you placed on a race or how long of a distance you did. Some people may never do an Ironman. Some people may only do sprints, or some people may just do aqua bike because they don't like running. But it's really, if you find your why and what makes you happy and why you want to do it, just keep that why. And the why may change every year. For me, I go back to my why. Why am I doing it this year? And it may change, but the constant that I've had for the last, this is my 6th season, was I want to make sure that triathlon makes me happy. If it gets to the point that it's too hard and I'm miserable, then I lost my why. So know your why when you get into it.
That is great advice. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes, and thank you for doing this, Jenny.
Yeah. I just am enjoying this so much. So hopefully we'll get to chat more at another time, and I'll see you out there sometime soon.
And for everybody that is watching this, I hope to get to meet new members this season as well.
Awesome. So, well, thank you, Mila. Thanks for your time, and I hope you have a good night.
Thanks. Same to you.
All right. Bye-bye.